Alison, I actually want to talk about your marijuana ad first. Okay. So this was what, about 2 weeks ago that you released the ad?
Yeah, I think so. Towards the end of April?
Towards the end of April.
Maybe mid, yeah.
Yeah, and it was about comparing Dianne Feinstein's record to Jeff Sessions.
Jeff Sessions,
right?
yeah.
So we're gonna run that ad for you in a second. But what I want you to know, and what's really amazing and interesting, is that right after Alison released the ad, less than a week later, Dianne Feinstein, all of a sudden, after 50 years in politics, decided, well, legal marijuana, maybe not so bad, maybe not so bad. And so, look, Alison's campaign is really important. We're going to talk about that. But what's equally important is progressive pressure works. Get into the primaries, pressure them. All of a sudden, they're like, yeah, I meant to be progressive. I meant to be. So what's the ad that broke Feinstein's back on marijuana? This is it. Watch.
Dianne Feinstein has the same position on marijuana as Jeff Sessions. She's against research, she's against legalization, she's against criminal justice reform. Dianne Feinstein's position has cost the freedom of millions of people in communities of color. When I say I'm fighting for us, I'm not just talking about people who look like me. I'm talking about all of us. I will represent the wishes of California voters, unlike our current senator. I'm Alison Hartson, and I approve this message because you already voted on this issue, and it's about time we have a senator who's on your side.
Alison, that's awesome, okay? Because you moved her. I know she's 84, and I don't even know if she's actually gonna serve out her full term. And I know that her move is not genuine. We voted on it in California, and she was against marijuana legalization. But I actually wanna ask you about something that was frustrating that happened afterwards. Instead of getting a congratulations from the media, because they're not supposed to take a side, but in terms of like, wow, you hit her, and she moved within a week, right? It was clearly correlated, like, oh, that's interesting. What was the reaction the media had?
They didn't say anything about it, of course. They congratulated her basically for making that move.
After 50 years, congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, that's their way, of course, of saying, hey, look, you don't have to worry about voting for anybody else or a true progressive in the race because she's doing what you've been asking for. And, that's obviously it's strategic, but the good thing is we know better now. And we have social media, we have all of the tactics and the strategies that we've been using that are showing that my campaign is absolutely working. But yeah, of course, it's insanely frustrating.
Yeah, and so I think that part of the reason that Feinstein reacted to that ad, and look, you can say, hey, I'm biased, I'm clearly in favor of Alison's campaign. I made that clear on day one. But at least you say it. Yeah, and I'm honest about it, But I really, putting on whether you believe me or not, putting on my political analysis hat for a second, there is no coincidence that large where an opponent in a primary runs an ad and then a person who has not moved on that position for 50 years in politics, the very next week goes, you know what? I mean, just out of nowhere, I just decided that I'm gonna change my position on that. That was definitely because of your ad. And then to me, the most frustrating, perhaps because I like them among the best, was McClatchy News Series, because a lot of the press covered that story. Almost none of them literally none of them mentioned you or the ad. They're like, oh, Feinstein, congratulations, changes positions, changing with the times. Come on, right? Please don't do that. Have some self-respect as a journalist, okay? No, because who really writes, like, you should at least say, hey, she's in a primary, she's feeling pressure. And to be fair, a lot of them did. And McClatchy did. McClatchy newspapers, in my opinion, over the last 20 years that I've been covering politics, has been among the best. But in that case, the writer, I gotta admit, was lazy. So they're like, okay, who's the corporate candidate against Feinstein? KDL. Well, KDL hasn't pressured her at all on this, right?
No, and he has not done anything to be outspoken on the fact that we need to legalize marijuana and why and how this affects our criminal justice system, et cetera. He has not been doing that. He's been in the Senate he's been a state representative for 12 years. He has not been a champion on that either. It is clearly because of what we have been doing with this campaign. And we've written articles about it. You can find articles on my site quiet about it. We have contacted the press about it. We sent out that video to the press. We didn't just put it up on our social media. So it's not like they can say that they haven't heard from us and that they aren't aware of us. And to the credit of the San Francisco Chronicle, they did pick up one of my videos, and I think it might have been that one, and they actually did write something on it. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely.
But certainly nothing was said after she actually ended up changing her position.
One last quick thing about that McClatchy article, because you can tell it got under my skin. They're like, oh, she's in a fight against KDL, who, by the way, is not polling well at all. But why? He's an establishment politician. So they're like, and they acknowledge in the article, KDL hasn't really done anything on this issue, so that's curious. But we're going to give him credit anyway.
Right.
Well, then you might want to dig a little deeper, right? Wait,
check your
that's
email.
kind of weird.
We emailed you. Check your email.
That's right.
Well, also, I mean, not only is the media not providing the necessary context or purposefully providing false context, but you can also use the opportunity where she moves on marijuana to point out how pathetic and tiny of a move it is.
Great point.
Like her big final evolution on marijuana is, well, I guess I don't think feds should come in and arrest the people of my state. Woo, let's throw a party. That's amazing. Well, I guess, game over. Marijuana's just one. Like now, I guess just because she said that, people who run these shops can use banks, which they should be able to do. The people who are in prison are going to be released. Maybe we're giving reparations for the people who are unnecessarily locked up for so long. Like all of the other peripheral issues that we haven't yet tackled are fixed because she doesn't think the feds should come in and lock up Californians.
Thank you, and that is such a good point of why I'm so insanely sick and tired of the establishment and people running as quote unquote progressives. It's one thing to say that you support an issue or that you're not going to fight against an issue. It's another thing to champion it. And so just to take the stance that like, oh, well, we're not gonna let the feds come in and overturn our state's decision is not enough. And so, you're right, it's not a full flip on the issue itself, but it's just said perfectly right to position herself to try and pull the progressive vote.
And guys, does anybody think that Dianne Feinstein is going to first lead on any issue? Okay, but secondly, on this issue, you think she's gonna be a champion? Hey guys, you know what? We should make sure marijuana is legal everywhere. And I can't believe Obama didn't lift it from Schedule 1 drug. Of course not. Now, and I think that part of the reason she moved on that was not just because of marijuana, but you put criminal justice reform into that ad. And you mentioned how it oppresses minority communities. I think that's what stung. And they were like, no, there's a lot of minorities in California. We do identity politics.
Yeah.
So, okay, no, Latinos and black people. Feinstein's on your side, kind of, maybe. Doesn't think Trump should be able to arrest you today. Kind of on your side, right? So I think that's what moved. So let's say you were a senator, what would you do on that issue?
On marijuana?
Yeah.
Absolutely take it off the schedule. It should be completely legal. And it has to be at the federal level so that the states who have overturned this and made it legal are protected. Well, and we also need to make sure that we release people from prison who are in there on these minor marijuana offenses as well. So we have to take it that extra step.
I think that if you release a fall bad, we might get to see her smoke a joint. It's gonna require effort, but I'll help.